Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday, and we come to turn the table around one more time. Welcome to all of our listeners and viewers. Again, welcome to the Roundtable Talk. I have my co-host with me, Mrs. Doctor Catherine Campbell, and of course, I do have a co-host Perry Busby who might tip in as well, and we have our guest co-host, who might also tip in, Dustin Harris. But I definitely want to again welcome everybody back to the Roundtable Talk. Miss Cat, how you been?
Okay, getting there, staying
I like to
strong.
hear that. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Host, can you turn the music down just a little bit? So I definitely, thank you, sir. I definitely want to again welcome all the listeners and viewers to the Roundtable Talk. Today is April Fool's Day, so don't let April fool you. You can still get popped in the mouth. No, just kidding.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. From the first
Last
to the
day,
first.
last day.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I wonder if Tony knew that. From the first to the first. So yes, I definitely appreciate everybody for their birthday wishes. My birthday was on March 26th. But of course, if you know me, I celebrate 31 days plus one of March, which is April Fool's Day, April 1st. And yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying people, enjoying me. Um, Showing me great love and admiration and adoration actually to the things that I do in our community. So it was definitely greatly appreciated to be celebrated for 31 days by loved ones, friends, and new acquaintances, I will say.
Well
Um,
deserved.
Thank you, Miss Cat. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're
It was a
welcome.
privilege. Um, Of course, as we do or try to do every Tuesday, we try to bring you some very hot topics of discussion, not just here in Beaumont, Texas, which is where we are, but nationwide and even globally, right? And so we got, a nice show for everybody. I got, some of my topics sitting up at the top on my PC.
That's
But
good.
I definitely wanted everybody to know that we're going to from here on share our resources, right? And be able to enlighten you on some of the things that we talk about. So that's just a small shift in our show, nothing major. Again, we'll probably post those in comments or something of that nature as the show go on. But go ahead, Miss Cat. What you
As you
gonna say?
begin to expound on the topics, I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
pop out just 1 second, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm gonna try something for my notes. Okay,
Absolutely.
because I notice
Absolutely.
whenever I go to my notes, it cuts me off anyway. So I'm letting you know why.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, go
So
go
thanks
ahead, and
for
I'll
letting
pop back
our
in.
listeners and viewers know as well that whenever you see Miss Cat gone, she's not gone. She's just in the background reviewing her notes. Um, and so like again, like I said, we definitely try to touch on some national, global happenings as well as some national state happenings. And of course, we include our state, which is Texas, our county, which is Jefferson, and our city, again, which is Beaumont. And then we try to tackle some county city issues and, identify certain things in that space. And also, we have, some city community topics that we would like to bring to our listeners and viewers. So that's how we're going to hit it every Tuesday. And, we I enjoy the engagement, whether it comes from my co-hosts and the comment section. And so I definitely appreciate, you all tuning in. So, first topic of the night um, is Africa and us. Africa and us. What's the truth about Black Americans moving to Africa? So, more Black Americans are choosing to move to Africa, especially Ghana, seeking a better life, freedom, safety, and a deeper connection to their roots, their African roots, right? Is this a realistic dream or is it harder than it looks? Let's talk about the good, the challenges, and what this says about living in America today. So, um, some of the discussion points we're going to touch on are, why are Black Americans seriously thinking about leaving the United States for Africa? And what's really happening in Ghana, Nigeria, and other countries welcoming Black Americans. Also, could moving to Africa be right for you? Or is it more important to fix problems here at home? Our enlightening resource for the day comes from give me just a second, comes from the year of return. Of course, you could go to yearofreturn.com to find out more information about our particular subject topic, as well as how it breaks down. So that's the questions actually for this particular topic, Africa and us. What's the truth about Black Americans or African Americans moving to Africa? And from what I've I've gathered, not just engaging or doing research, but what I've also seen on YouTube and other platforms of African Americans who have moved or relocated to other countries. They are warning Americans that it's not as easy as it sounds, which is of course expected even in our society, living in America, right? It's not as easy as it sounds. And understanding that when we do move to these certain spaces and places, if we were to release our citizenship to America, then that gives gives way to a lot of things that we consider to be beneficial as Americans. And so that includes family back home, that includes work, that includes investments, that includes a lot. And so um it is a conversation that needs to happen, especially under this administration, 45, 47. But it also needs to happen because there is concern about acceptance in foreign spaces by Americans, regardless to what color or race you consider yourself. Um, so that's one of the things that I've found out from just, engaging on different platforms. Again, watching YouTube, watching individuals who have left the United States and have made or is making root in Africa. Some of their testimonials, right? Not that me or I, as an indigenous person of these lands, are expecting to just leave. I don't mind traveling. I don't mind, you know, seeing things for what they are, right? But um this is my home and I'm not going to relinquish everything that my home offers me. And so I definitely wanted to bring that up for today. Miss Cat,
Yeah.
what you got on the topic? Topic one for today, for this evening. Africa and us. What's the truth about Black Americans moving to Africa?
Have they really considered the cost, the the financial that it'll take to go over there, and uh, what have they not considered about uh, the amenities that we have here that are readily available and that are not there, you know? Because we are a spoiled nation.
Very much
And
so.
so have they truly considered the cost?
Yeah.
It sounds good. Let's go back to Africa, but you ain't never been. If you ain't never been, you don't know what's there.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know?
And that's to me, that's just like going to a section of the city that you've never been been to, right?
No,
Um,
it's not, because when you go to a section of this city that you've never been to, you're still
uh,
in America. But
right,
when
true.
you're in another nation, you're in another country, you're under
Right.
their rules, and their rules are a whole lot different from ours. I've traveled abroad, and when you argue out loud, like, I mean, the kids were at the fair the other night, you know, in Dubai, that's totally not, they're not going to accept that there. You're going to jail, you know. So, the things that we're accustomed to here are, have freedom to do here. There was a time when we could fight, squash it in the street, and be friends tomorrow. You can't do that in every country. So, are you sure that that's really what you want to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. The way we try to solve problem, issue, or conflict is not accepted in other lands or in other countries.
The way that food is distributed there, are you ready for that? You know,
Right.
the way some things are handled in that country, in those other countries. Are we sure that we're ready for that change? That's the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
So
sounds
like
good, let's go back, but is it
so
really
why
feasible?
why are Black Americans seriously thinking about? Why do you think that they are seriously some Black Americans are seriously thinking about leaving this country? And if you think about it, or if anybody wants to do research, go look and see how many people have become, um, recipients of a passport. Passport issuance is up,
It
extremely
is.
up.
It is.
And
You're absolutely
so,
right about that.
why are Black Americans seriously thinking about leaving the United States?
Well, I think because of what's going on, it's baffling to me. How come for some the law works and for others it does not? You know.
That's a good point, especially there, Miss Cat. A
Oh,
felon,
sorry. I don't know.
having a convicted felon as the president of
A
the United
president,
States
that is ludicrous.
is definitely,
Ludicrous.
I would say, I mean, yeah,
It's
that's unprecedented here in our country.
exactly.
And
It's pure
it
buffoonery.
shows, right, it shows just as, as you said, like, how is it that one, he can be the president, but how is it too that if anyone else in America is convicted 34 times or 36 times or however many times that they deducted it to the conviction that it is now, how is it that, or what does that actually look like, especially to a Black American who, some of us have went to
Oh,
jail and was found not guilty for the charges.
right.
And when we were when we were charged, not convicted, but when we were charged, we went to jail. We had to go to jail.
Right.
Even if you had a bond, you were probably not able to pay it. And
How many
most
were
of the
found
times those
innocent?
bonds, right, those bonds were restricted. You didn't get a bond because of
Mm.
the allegations on you, and the criminal intent
Uh-oh.
that's alleged behind the crime that you allegedly committed. But
Right.
this individual is a convicted felon that has targeted individuals, targeted communities, told communities that
Whole
whenever I get
community.
back into this office, I'm going to split you up. I'm going to eradicate your benefits. I'm going to make it even harder for you and your community to make it out here. And
Exactly.
so is is this
And it's
why
wait a minute. You
people,
forgot this part. You forgot this part. It's okay for me, but it's not okay for you.
well, I mean, we have a governor that did that.
Well, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, it's really disheartening, and it kind of segues into our next topic. Why aren't people voting? The trust is gone.
Yes, yes.
The trust
And
is
so
gone,
I'm
and
glad you
when trust
see,
that
glad you see how these just gonna
was
flow.
smooth,
This,
wasn't it? That was smooth,
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely want people, again, if you want to do a little research, um, you can definitely go to year of return. Again,
Uh-oh.
that's the year of return.com, yearofreturn.com, in order to find out what businesses and different things that are offered to Americans. And I didn't say Black Americans, I said that's offered to Americans from Ghana. Again, go there, check to see what's up. If you are considering leaving America, again, just like Miss Cat said, think of some of the liberties, the amenities, and other things that you have ownership to in this country. And regardless to who the president is and all of the rhetoric that he tries to push and the civil liberties that he tries to remove from we the people, it is incumbent on you as an American citizen to stand solely, or like the kids been telling me here lately while I'm in the community, stand 10 toes down. And I mean, like, fight for what's rightfully yours, right? Don't run from it, fight for it.
Right.
um so Miss Cat kind of alluded to one of our subject topics, but before we go there, I definitely want to say, being that we have a convicted felon for the president, my next topic is they're still locked up. Why isn't anyone talking about mass incarceration anymore? They still locked up, though. They still
Not
locked
so
up.
well versed on that one. So you go ahead and I'll join in.
All right, absolutely. So, mass incarceration means to many people, especially black men and black women, being locked up unfairly. Despite all the protests and talks about justice, very little has changed. We have forgotten about people behind bars. Let's talk about why this matters to every family, regardless to race, creed, or culture. Our discussion points is, why does America still have so many people, especially black people, in prison? How does mass incarceration hurt families, communities, and generations? What can everyday people actually do to change this problem? Our enlightening resource for the evening comes from EJI.org. Again, that's Equal Justice Initiative.org, EJI.org. So that's one of the things that I and many others in our community have problems with. And it's not just the fact that our president is a convicted felon,
Mm.
it's the fact that many individuals in our communities are convicted but not felons and serving fed time or felon time because the judge who was at the gavel and the district attorney or the ADA, assistant district attorney, has thrown the proverbial book at them and charged them to the max of the law. And again, we had a candidate at the time who was running for president, and he was all over the country.
Mm.
If you are charged,
Up,
I didn't say convicted, if you are charged with a felony, you are not allowed to move freely about this
about the
country
country. That's right. Not even to
until
the city
you
down the street.
exactly. You cannot leave your county area.
Yet we had
And
a
just
felon that
like
was all over everywhere.
right, and just like Miss Cat said, sometimes the judge mandates that you cannot leave the municipality that you in.
It's true.
So they are still locked up. And some people will say, well, uh, Trump gave pardons.
Mm. Mm.
Ah! The president gave pardons, Miss Cat.
To people who tore
Mass
up the people's
pardons.
house. Yes.
Say that again.
To people who tore up the people's house.
That's what I
You know,
thought you
that house
said.
that house wasn't just for them. It was for
Correct.
everybody. We all put tax
Correct.
dollars into taking care of that
Exactly.
White House.
Exactly. Exactly. And
And
some
he gave
people,
pardons. But I guarantee you, if it was me or you, because when he was holding that Bible upside down at the church around the corner, it was black folks who was over there first doing a quiet protest. A quiet protest, and they shot rubber bullets at them, but they didn't shoot not one rubber bullet at any of those people on the White House steps as they were proceeded to tear up the people's house. Come
yeah,
on.
even got in there
Why
and
so why
disgraced the
does
place.
exactly so why does the law work for them and not for us? They vandalized the building in the
How
worst
does it?
way.
So how does?
They broke windows, they climbed walls like it was a
Uh,
Mount Everest. Come on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's what I was gonna ask you was how does it work when we see? Can we say rather that it works when we see that it's biased?
Exactly. Exactly. And so
How,
how can you get anybody to want to trust anything about a judicial system that says nothing, or wait a minute, even if they do say the slightest little bit, it's ignored.
exactly.
They act like it's just like them young kids say, it's over their head, huh?
Right. 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 But I will say that our communities have identified this. This is, these are conversations or questions or dialogue that we have in pockets of our communities. But I do believe that our entire community needs to definitely understand how mass incarceration hurt families, communities, and generations. I
It keeps us
remember
from
Miss
having
Cat.
a seat at the table. That's what it does. It
Absolutely.
keeps because
Absolutely.
because because even if one of us is sitting at the table, that one ought to speak up for the whole community. And the whole community ought to rally around that one, you know? But it keeps us from having a seat. So quite naturally we're gonna be the meal on the table.
Right, right. We're definitely on the
Because if
menu.
because if you don't have a seat, you're on the menu.
Right,
Definitely.
right. So, one of the ways that I want to identify how mass incarceration hurts families is first when you incarcerate, especially here. Again, I live in Beaumont, and I remember how Beaumont Police Department used to be. I remember how Beaumont judicial system used to be under the district attorneys and the ADAs. And I remember when I was a kid, Miss Cat, a friend of mine at David Crockett Middle School came to school one morning and did not go home until maybe we was like in our 30s.
What? Make that make sense.
Right.
Do
Right.
tell the
So
background.
so again, I'm from, I'm a product of BISD, old BISD, when the Beaumont Police Department used to tour the campuses with the K9 unit. And
And they
many
were very
of
visible in the neighborhoods as well. Please say that part. Because we can't
yes,
seem to get that now. No matter
right,
how we talk about it to our police chief
right,
and lieutenants and sergeants that are on the squad.
right.
Yeah, we
They were
need
very
more
visible in
neighborhood
our
in the
community.
neighborhoods. That's right.
And I agree, we definitely need more relationship policing, because you can't police me if you don't have relationship with me and the many communities that I may be a part of. And it wouldn't
It,
matter if you assume that I'm standing on the corner straight slanging rocks. Oh, so I dashed, I ducked, and I hide behind a tree. Get your them proposed, don't see me. Oh my bad. I had went back to the 90s right fast.
no, no. But you
But
know
no,
what? When
that's
they saw you, they
definitely
called you by name because they knew you.
right, right. I was about to say, and we
Because
knew
they were
them.
in your. That's right, and they were in the
Exactly.
neighborhood. You know,
And they were engaging.
that's right. They went to the community centers and they
Right,
talked to us. You know, yeah, they
right.
were very visible. I had the best cop around here, and yes, I live in the nasty north, but I had this white cop that would come over. He would stop to my shop all the time and talk to me. Hey, you all right over here? What's going on? What's going on in the neighborhood? You know, and I mean, he talked to us all the time. And every time I went downtown, I looked for him. You
Uh-huh.
know, nicest guy, but he knew our neighborhood. You know,
Right, right.
he knew when there was a man who was walking down the street. Just because he saw him walking this way, he thought that man was my dad. And he would bring him to my shop all the time. But that's because he always saw the man walking in my direction. That's how actually I met the man. I didn't know the man from Adam, right? But
Oh,
because the
okay.
police officer watched all the time, and sometimes the man would stop by my shop, he thought that was somebody who belonged to me. And whenever the man was in health trouble,
Hmm.
he would bring the man to my shop, because he watched the neighborhood. He
Right,
knew
right,
us,
right,
and he
right.
he thought he knew where everybody belonged. You know, I received the little man, and it was a little elderly gentleman. I received him in and started feeding him. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
But we're talking about policing, neighborhood policing, and what the police officers used to do. You
Yes,
know,
yes, yes. And again, I didn't see my classmate until we was in our 30s. And so, you know, seeing those types of practices when we grow up is not the same types of practices that we see currently, especially when it comes to other affluent individuals. And I will say white affluent individuals, because affluence in the black community doesn't mean a hill of beans to some people.
right?
Let's go to our comment. Mr. Robert Hunter said Trump was able to get a judge to grant an unconditional discharge. I wanted to say unconstitutional because I've never seen it. It's unprecedented that anybody has ever gotten a ruling like that, or yeah, a sentencing even in that facet, right? I mean, that much leniency to an individual. I'm not talking about a candidate or not. Um, that much leniency on a convicted, well, let's say a charged at the time individual that's being charged by the judiciary is able to move about the country, and after is convicted is still able to move about the country, because y'all have to understand the conviction was in place. They just waited and waited for the sentencing, and nobody that I know, affluent or piss po,
Mm.
has ever gotten that kind of treatment ever.
Mm-mm.
Welcome, 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 Perry Busby, all the way in that heated desert you in, man. I see it's been giving you hell, kicking you in and out, bro.
Oh man, no, I was en route, but enjoying the conversation.
Absolutely,
And man, this wind is kicking through these mountains, man. It has been gusty winds all day,
man.
rocking this trailer. So,
Man, be careful,
but
bro.
enjoying it and
Did you fly a kite?
enjoying the conversation.
I love March
No,
just for
I
that
didn't.
reason.
No, no, I didn't. Well, one of the things is when the wind is gusting this high here in Arizona,
To my
uh, you yeah, you're gonna get a lot of dust. You might be flying a kite, but you're gonna come in dusty.
And I mean dusty, like
That's
you
what
done
the
worked in the
water
mine.
for.
So Perry, I do want to tell technology that it sucks, but I do want to catch you up on the topics that we've already talked about. Of course, you know, we talked about Africa and us. What's the truth about Black Americans
Mm,
moving to Africa? Some of our discussion points were, why are Black Americans seriously thinking about leaving the United States for Africa? What's really happening in Ghana, Nigeria, and other countries welcoming back Black Americans, or welcoming Black Americans? And could moving to Africa be right for you, not us in particular, or is it more important to fix problems here at home? And our source of reference for this particular topic was yearofreturn.com. And so that's what we're going to
hmm
start doing, is sharing different sources that people could get, vital information or just different information, right? About some of our subject
Right.
topics. Um, we started talking about on our national state topic, we definitely started talking about they're still locked up. Why isn't anyone talking about mass incarceration anymore? Especially after we've gotten the convicted felon in chief as the president of the United States. And some of those discussion topics was, why does America still have so many people, especially Black people, in prison? How does mass incarceration hurt families, communities, and generations? And what can everyday people actually do to change this particular problem, which is mass incarceration of the Black community? Our source of reference there, Perry and listeners, is again EJI.org. And of course, they have
hmm
everything equal justice there. And,
All right.
you have fun reading whatever it is that you find interesting. But I definitely wanted to give you, Perry, the opportunity to give us some insight on those two topics, and then we'll move with Miss Cat expounding a little bit on topic two, and then we'll move to number three. Go ahead, Perry. You got the floor.
Yeah. Uh, well, no, thanks. I think those are great subjects that we all need to at least consider in this current climate with regard to the idea of uh, returning to Africa uh, or setting up dual citizenship in Africa, among other things. I think is something worthy to explore, uh, because if we reach back far enough, there was a point where our ancestors longed for home. And, as generations passed and those stories became, a lot more distant, uh, as well as an educational system uh, that was very racist in terms of even bringing us back to even some ideation of Africa. I mean, to the point that it's discovered that uh, Africa, in terms of maps, is grossly undersized when we look at maps. For its true, I mean, to get a true sense of of its
Right.
size. And then when we look at it, Chris, you and I discussed it earlier. I mean, um, our ideas of Africa was formed out of Western
Come
knowledge.
on.
I mean,
And
let's just start with Tarzan.
yeah,
Let's start with Tarzan and work ourselves from there. And so we have all of these myths, that when we uh got to a point where we began to travel our world destinations, Africa's, for many, uh was low on the list, if not on the list at all.
right, right,
Uh uh and I once had a discussion with the Minister of Tourism for Haiti.
mm,
And he talked about this very issue of why American tourism does not promote any destinations within Haiti, even though we know that there are multinational uh, corporations who hold their winter board meetings in Haiti. And so if the top 1% can find comfort in Haiti, then you
Shoot.
must ask yourself, now, what are they keeping from us?
exactly.
But yeah, they will dish out the Dominican Republic to us in a minute, and we must understand the that racial storytelling, to keep us away from a longing of our true heritage. Um, but I agree with Kat, who earlier, talked about it. Well, no, it isn't for everyone, and I don't think that we should sort of look at it as uh, some type of mass migration, but I do think it is something that we should consider in our global migration. I mean, for us to somewhat think that our homeland is somehow confined to these 48 contiguous states, uh, limits who we say we are
As
by
humans.
calling each other kings and queens and royal.
Exactly, King. Exactly, King.
So but me, you know, I'm a full-time RVer. And I've not minced words and said, man, if it just ever gets to a point that I I can't find comfort here in these states, do I continue to fight, or do I find comfort in a place that's made for me? And I'll park this RV at the nearest shore and head. My son and I are planning to go to Africa in 2026. One of the things we are considering is just that very thing. Let's look and see. I mean, we can't make a blanket
Right,
decision,
right,
but I've talked to people who have traveled Africa extensively. I mean, beyond Ghana,
right,
Mozambique,
right.
Tanzania, you got Zambia, you got, some people say for if you're westernized, South Africa is the place for you, because that's going to be the one part of Africa that at least
Spoils you.
symbolizes some sort of Western life. But I've talked to many of people who have said, man, when you find yourself in the comfort of nature, man, there's no other replacement.
Until the water ain't good in
And
your stomach
yeah,
is
I'm
upset.
like, and I'm like, cat, but you have to be ready for that,
Right.
because I mean, it's gonna be some give and take with both of it. But if what you're seeking is some comfort and some oneness with yourself and reality, and to get removed from this what we call way of life that is more, about struggle, pain, and
Mhm.
fussing, then we have to see. I mean, how much are we really, is this truly our lot in life to just be given to this cause? Is our lot in life to be one, to find ourselves and then bring something back to humanity? I mean, like I say, I look at the Gospels, and the one thing that really amazed me when I really paid attention in reading the Gospels was Jesus was always getting away from people. He was always going up in the mountain, then he go up a little high in the mountain, then he go over a river. He encountered people, but he really wasn't trying to stay with people. And even when it was the people that he loved, he got away from them. He got away from 12 and went with three. And I think those are some of the things that I think that we are truly missing as leaders in our community, and that is the ability to sometimes just get away from people and bump and be at one, so that you can give yourself
Absolutely.
in service.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But in terms of incarceration, yes, it's. I mean, we talk about Jim Crow, but inside of Jim Crow was also chain gangs
Mm.
and slave patrols. And so I don't think that we are very far removed from that.
Yes. I totally agree.
You can put some lipstick on this pig. It's
Still a
still the
pig.
same pig.
It's still the same pig at that. Or
And you're right.
pigs
We
of a
we
feather.
have somewhat, and it kind of, and that really started, Chris, really around COVID. We found ourselves. I mean, I was in Broward County at the time. That was one of the biggest ordeals, was COVID within the county jails, and you got people facing, near death situations just because they got caught for an outstanding ticket, or they got a bench warrant.
Or a little sack of weed.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about it. Again, we know that African Americans are incarcerated and charged greater than anybody else. And just like I told Miss Cat, I remember when our district attorney at that time in the 90s and 2000s, our district attorney and our ADA, assistant district attorneys, was throwing the proverbial law book at Negroes, black people, black Americans, right here in Beaumont. And they didn't give a damn about what age. Because, like I said, in
Mm-mm.
my recollection of a friend of mine who was in middle school at David Crockett, and I didn't see him again until we was in our 30s. And when the brother saw me, he was like, "Man, I just got out by like 3 or 4 months ago." Chris, it's good to see you,
Oh wow.
man. Mind y'all, I was in the community just as I am now.
So they charged him as an
Had
adult?
to have because I didn't see him that whole time.
Wow.
Had to have.
Mm.
And one of the things
Mm,
that
mm,
if you
mm.
go back again under the practices of Beaumont Beaumont Police Department is if your daddy was a dope dealer, then you a dope dealer, whether you dealing dope or not. You affiliated with that family, I'm about to
Mm.
take all y'all to jail. Those are some of the practices that we face here in Beaumont. You have one individual in Beaumont now being harassed by the police in the past, had the police were in marked and unmarked vehicles, so that's a waste of tax dollars. Not only did they harass him, but this gentleman had one police officer and probably some others on a restraining order. You
Mm.
have a a judge, a county judge, who decided to change their ruling because of political persuasion from a city council person and other individuals that are elected. That's not justice. That's not law, especially when we know that as a juvenile, you're not supposed to say their name.
Mm.
But you put this
Mm-mm.
one juvenile's name out into the public for a simple school fight and didn't like the way the other kid's face looked after this fight. So you fabricated a story to get them in the system. Mind you, it's several 18, 17, 16, 15-year-old boys who the Beaumont Police Department, some officers in the Beaumont Police Department are intimidated by because they're big, they're black, and they're big.
Big, black, and big. Huh?
Big, black, and big.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
that size intimidates them.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, we had another kid that was doing a what they call it a peaceful bystand with his parent. The police officer had the one police officer had the issue uh, under control, or if it was even an issue, where when the other police gets on the scene, he causes an escalation of an issue, tussles with the little
Mm-hmm.
boy, beats on the little boy, sends the little boy to uh, Jefferson County, mind you, freshly off of an ass whipping
Mm.
that his daddy didn't give him, that he was provoked, mind you, and his girlfriend was also provoked by saying, by the officer, you better not record shit. You better
Mm.
not tell nothing. You better not say nothing, is what they said to the younger brother and the mother. And told her, if you don't come and file this paperwork, you gonna be under arrest for what they call it, falsifying a call or something of that nature. Make that make
Mm-hmm.
sense, y'all. But they will try any kind of way to excuse some of the atrocities that other individuals who just so happen to be white or white affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was around class reunion time. White guy driving down 90, no lights on, runs into another vehicle, kills the man that he hit. Mind you, in the white guy's vehicle was a black passenger. The black passenger went to jail or was breathalyzed and went to jail. The white passenger was not breathalyzed at all and went home with his family.
Wow.
When the white
What?
gentleman gets in court, he gets a slap on the wrist and told to place flowers every year. If the white person placed flowers yet, I'd be surprised. Tried to say
Hmm.
that the
Mm.
individual that is deceased, oh well, he had crack cocaine in his system. His significant other said that lie won't stick because there is no way that a person that only smokes cigarettes is going to have crack cocaine in their system. Mind you, the only thing that happened again to the murderer, because that's what he did, vehicular homicide is murder, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
All day long.
Uh,
Right.
what he did was went to court, showed empathy and compassion toward the family, but didn't follow the rules of the court by placing flowers. Mind y'all, that's something simple. Didn't go to jail 10 years, which is the minimum here in the state of Texas for vehicular homicide. He did not go to jail. He did not go to jail 10 minutes, let alone 10 years.
Because he never got breathalyzed. Only the black guy did. The black person
Exactly.
Mm.
did.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Once again, the trust is broken.
Right. Right. So, with that being said, the incarceration rate in our families, communities, and generations are affecting us not because of who we are, just who we are alone. This is a fight at the gavel. This fight starts at the gavel. This fight starts at the ballot box because many of these judges,
Mm-hmm.
many of these district attorneys, especially the district attorney and many criminal and amendment judges, those are elected individuals. Those are county
Mm-hmm.
represented judges, and we elect that. So,
Hmm.
you know,
And how many of them do we really need to check out? Because there are some who get in on a Democratic ticket and then they turn around and switch, like our county judge. Mm.
I mean,
Yeah,
we have a judge
he
now
announced
that's
a week after he was elected in, he was switching to the Republican
well,
Party.
I mean, we do that
The
with
county judge
a
did that.
Congress. A congressperson
I'm
did that
sorry,
as well, right? A congressperson.
I can't remember right off the top. I have to look that up, but I do know right here, where all politics are local, mm, that
Correct.
affect me. Yeah,
Yeah.
our county judge did it a few days after he was elected on a Democratic ticket.
I remember that. I remember that. And I also know that we have maybe one or two judges that are going to be running Democrat elected judges, Democrat Party elected or party affiliate judges who were in the past elected under the Democratic ticket, now running under the Republican ticket.
Hello, somebody.
I'm just saying. So we're going to move to topic number 3, hot Texas summers.
Yeah, but should we have partisan judges?
We should not have partisan judges. The local elections, local city, local government elections, uh, that's city and state. I mean, yeah, city
Mm,
and county should
Right,
be nonpartisan unless you're running for
party chair,
a commissioner on the commissioner's court.
right, right.
including our
No,
district
no, but
attorney.
I'm
But
just saying. Right,
nevertheless,
right,
regardless of your party affiliation, I'm gonna say it over and over until it stick to the wall. You are If you are elected on a Democratic ticket or a Republican ticket, you're still the representative for all.
And that's a loogie, and it's
right.
gonna stick. That's a loogie. You just said, Miss Cat.
That's
That's a
all I'm saying.
loogie, and it's gonna stick, and it's gonna stick, and it's gonna drip a little bit. So
Eh,
yeah, that's a loogie.
I'm telling you.
Because
So
regardless to how you got in that seat, you are a representative of
for
everybody that's
all,
within that
Right.
district. Absolutely.
and
So
they
I would.
should act accordingly. You know, you know, I
You froze, Miss Cat.
Please, I guess that.
still the fact still remains me. Did I drop out?
Yeah,
Or did
you
y'all
had
hear
that.
me?
Yeah, it had froze a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay. I said regard
didn't hear you.
regardless of what ticket you got in on your commissioner's court or whatever, you're still the representative for all, for everybody in your district. Come on. So you ought to be looking out for the needs of the people. We always say we want the best person for the job.
Right, right, right.
We want somebody that's
Especially
qualified for the job. We're not trying to go on friendship. We're trying to go on
right.
best qualified for the job. That's what we should be
Exactly.
voting for.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
don't want no clown
But
doing.
we do know that our county judge and these other judges and other elected individuals who got in under the Democratic ticket on a Democratic ticket switched their party after they got into office because they knew that their liberal ideals were not going to allow them to be elected in the Republican or under the Republican ticket.
And they
So,
swore they would never switch.
correct, correct. Yeah. So, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it
I love
even
it. I
it
love it.
goes deeper than that because I have a source in East Texas who who works with the Democratic chairs, well, county chairs, and was told about several county chairs that was doing business with an accountant. Now this is the bookkeeper and accountant for the Democratic Party. This person is a known Republican,
Mm.
and you got several Democratic chairs consulting with this known accountant
That's a
who is a
Republican.
major Republican backer. So
Mm.
what sense? I mean, I hear you. I mean, and it trickles down. You giving
Bro,
someone access to the books to everything else, and
that's again shows just like Miss Cat say almost every week. That's because regardless to party affiliation, nobody is truly reaching back. Nobody is truly educating, edifying, and putting younger people in position to lead these spaces once our elders and seniors are gone. But we always say these, no, never mind. Topic number three, hot Texas summers. Are we ready for another power crisis? Every summer, Texans are faced with dangerously hot weather. We've seen power grids fail and people lose electricity during extreme heat. With hotter days ahead, is Beaumont prepared or could we see another blackout like before? Some of the things that I want to definitely talk about around this topic is why is Texas having repeated problems with power during extreme weather, regardless to if it's hot or cold? How do power outages specifically hurt local neighborhoods, elders, seniors, and families? And what simple things can we all do right now to get ready before summer actually hits? Mind you, it's hotter than a mug already.
Hmm.
What we gonna say? Our enlightened resource for this particular topic is the Texas Tribune, one of the most independent sources of news in the
Mm-hmm.
state of Texas, and they don't care who they offend or uplift, regardless to party affiliation or money size. Texas Tribune is where it's at. So
Mm-hmm.
texastribune.org is definitely our source for information on this particular topic, especially when it comes to extreme weather and our failing power grid in the state of Texas. Now, mind you, most cities, states, and municipalities in the state of Texas is governed under ERCOT.
Mm-hmm.
That's the state power
Grid.
agency
Yeah.
who manages, allegedly, manages the grid. Mind you, the state of Texas is not on the national grid. Not all of it, rather. Not all of the state of Texas is on the national grid. Some portions of Texas is on the national grid.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, Beaumont is on the national grid in Texas. Luckily, if anybody asks or says, I would rather have diverse energy companies, tell them no, you don't. Just tell the city to keep the usage rate low. Demand the city government keep the usage rate low. That's how we can maintain our light bill, and as well as have them mandate our utilities services in the city of Beaumont to have upgrades. So, especially like when we have blackouts during sunny weather and it's just a wind that knocked the fuse or something of that nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that they come through and they cut back the tree branches and different things like that, especially during hurricane season. But why is Texas having repeated problems with the power grid, y'all?
Hmm.
Is part of it lack of infrastructure uh and maintenance? I mean, you know.
That's it right there. It's 100% Perry, the lack of maintenance. I mean, like we have, Sunset Review, which reviews all of our utility regulations in the state of Texas, right? But we're not pushing or mandating some of these utilities like we should be. Now, I will say gas has come through portions of the city and the state, especially like the Gulf Coast, and they've
Mm-hmm.
upgraded gas lines, right, to this plastic, yellow, heavy plastic line because, mind y'all, everybody was still connected to those galvanized pipes that was under the ground. And forever they've
Mm-hmm.
been there. And so they came through and they upgraded their infrastructure. Um, is it possible for the city of Beaumont to use the data that shows blackout frequencies that happens on good days, sunny days, windy days, rainy days, or like Perry said, high wind days where the sand from somewhere is slapping you in the face. And that's if that's sand here in Beaumont. So um my my I will say one of the ways or one of the reasons why Texas is facing that is because, like you said, we haven't advanced or we haven't mitigated our power grid from extreme weather. Heat
Hmm.
and heat, we know, increases power usage to keep cool, right? And in the wintertime, some people do not have gas, you, access. So they
Hmm.
have to depend back on the same system that they depend on to keep cool. Now, if the system is threatening to fail if you keeping cool, the system is going to threaten to fail if you're trying to keep warm,
Mm.
especially in a lot of these newer subdivisions where gas is not even a thought,
Mm.
right? And
Hmm.
we're seeing extreme weather that we have never seen in the state of Texas before. The last snow we had,
Mhm.
it stuck longer than what a lot of people expected, and it froze more than what a lot of people was anticipating. And so we saw failures in our city water infrastructure, in our personal water infrastructures. We saw, failures all over the place. And so the thing about it is we have to now seek ways that we could advance our infrastructure, maybe including or implementing solar, having, at least
I
it stores power. It could at least be windmill. Put a windmill, a old one, not one of these big ones. Put
Solar is not reliable.
well,
Totally
in
not
so
reliable.
in if you're not harvesting the power, if you're not saving the power, of course it's not going to
Right.
be reliable because you're using it. And whoever quoted you or gave you this package undergird you with storage. They didn't give you the storage. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I found that a lot of people are misunderstanding about solar power. It needs to be stored. There has to be a place for it to be stored because if
Hmm.
you're going to continue to use it on a daily basis, of course it's not going to seem as efficient. And
Hmm.
again,
Mhm.
your solar power, if you didn't get no power today because it's cloudy, of course, it's not gonna be as reliable today because it's been cloudy.
Hmm.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I have some solar lights around, and they all face east so that they can get the most sun. Right. Um, by the evening time, only one works. The other three won't even light up, and they're supposed to, come on whenever the motion is in front of them. I don't care how much motion you do in front of them, they won't come on.
Yeah,
They light up like they have some power in
some
them.
juice in it. Yeah.
Right,
So
Yeah.
right.
that sounds like
But
a,
what you
a
may want to
maintenance
do
issue.
though,
Yeah.
well, I mean, and part of that could again goes back to climate because those sensors and what you may have to do is really clean those sensors because it creates a film that sometimes to the naked eye looks like everything's fine, but it's really,
Mhm.
and I've also heard from other friends who say, yeah, even on sunny days, they've been known not to uh,
Collapse for the evening.
re-energize r-
Hmm.
primarily if it's not an overcast day, but if you live in a city where there's smog,
Yes.
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it it
Yes.
it has an impact. It
It
has an
distorts the
impact because
capture.
even though we're seeing sunlight, sun rays, and the things that that solar panel needs
It's
is
It's
filtering through
meeting
distorted.
some
smog.
Yeah.
obstruction
Yeah.
along the
Right.
way.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right. Right. Well,
yeah.
I
So
would
then they are
caution
not
people.
reliable.
Exactly.
No, not. Yeah, I mean,
Not
there's some more,
not
but
to
like
a
I said, I,
point.
I would check those sensors first and clean
Right.
them and
Not
see
to
if
a
that
point to
helps.
where it could be your 100% dependable energy source. No.
No.
I would never say that it's that reliable. But it is definitely a supplement. It's definitely a supplement to, you know, preserving power. Oh, what happened, Miss Cat? Um, I know she's gonna come back on, but we're gonna jump to topic four. Talk is cheap, but voting is free. Is Beaumont tired enough to actually vote? Our breakdown in this particular topic is um, people complain all the time about city leaders, about taxes, about schools, about roads, about safety. I mean, about jobs, but very few actually vote. And a lot of people don't vote because they don't feel that vote has that connection to all those things that
You there, Unc?
So are we all back in now?
I'm not sure what happened.
It's like it just cut off.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Chris.
What
So
happened to Unc? Did somebody,
have you read this book,
what happened to Unc? Did somebody
Perry?
assassinate him?
Perry, have you read this book by Ellie Mistel called Bad Law?
By who?
Ellie Mistel.
Ellie Mistal.
ELI. Yeah,
Ellie Mistal. Yeah,
that
yeah. I
one.
hadn't
Yeah.
read it. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. Ellie's a great lawfare guy. Yeah.
I'm going to we have access to our library online now. So I can like
Okay.
check out a book onto my phone. And so that's my next book to check.
Yeah, I've heard about it. He uh has a great legal mind. Yeah, he's very
He
outspoken.
does. He does.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I
he
wonder what happened to Chris. He was just about to bring the funk on this
yeah.
Hey, look like somebody assassinated
one.
everybody got booted out of here.
Yeah.
Everybody got booted. My camera started tripping and everything. They didn't want us to talk about it. Y'all know how they go.
Now let's talk
Especially,
about it.
yes, indeed. So, like I said, talk is cheap, but voting is free. Is Beaumont tired enough to actually vote? Our simple breakdown for this particular topic is people complain all the time about city leaders, taxes, schools, roads, and safety, but very few actually vote. Beaumont voter turnout states that it stays very low in local elections, between anywhere between 6 and 24% of 66,400 plus people are actually coming out to the poll. Why aren't we voting? Do do we believe voting changes nothing, or have we just given completely up? Have we just given up? Yeah, my camera's still freezing, y'all. I do apologize.
You have the
Um,
senior population that still believes in the vote. However, it seems as though more and more the trust of voting is lost ever since the hanging Chad. You know, it seems like
Mm.
you know they've changed the machines. You know, from one thing to the other thing, and I think in my mind is you know it doesn't make a difference to anybody but a hill. It doesn't make any difference or a hill of beans to anybody but to me. But in my mind, it feels as though every time they're changing the machines, they're changing the system to test it out to see how they can make that political machine work in their favor.
Mm.
There's no way that some of the results that come up can be that distant, you know. And I feel like they were just testing the machine to see how we can make it work. And when Trump got on Atlanta, it was Atlanta, he said, or was it Nevada? He said, Brad Raffensperger, we need to find this many votes. How you gonna find them in all the ballots that have been turned in? That told me
Georgia.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that told me right there that, you know, somebody was testing the machines, playing with that
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Awesome.
how can he even fathom that thought of doing that? You know what I'm saying?
So you
If they
believe,
wasn't already doing it, if that wasn't the inside scoop.
right, right. Why you feel like you could just find that?
Exactly. After
So,
everything had been turned in, because that wasn't the same night that he said that. That was
hmm.
after everything had been counted.
Well, I will say nationally, we have decreased in voter turnout as well, but it's higher than the local voter or the local elections. It's higher than
Yeah.
local elections. National voter turnout is higher than local elections.
Yeah,
What
well,
reasons
it's always
do
going to show more than here because we're a small area, you know, and so the percentage rate of us actually caring is getting lower and lower because you know, even though it may look like they not watching, they watching.
Yeah.
hmm,
They
so
TV on, they see it all,
yeah.
you know,
That
and then
sort of
they
Yeah.
kind of
can
answers my
and
question as to what reasons do people give for not voting locally. And that's it
Um.
right there. You going right into it, Miss Cat.
Yeah. I mean, as somebody, and especially speaking of Beaumont, one of the things that I enjoy about coming home to Beaumont, especially during election, is that I can get some unfiltered dialogue from voters, as well as some unfiltered dialogue from candidates, because they don't see me as somebody who they have to
Appease.
when they vote right to appease for their vote. What I will say in my observations, one of the reasons uh, for low voter turnout is, and again, just on the outside looking in, I see more candidates campaigning down instead of up. They campaign down to the people. I mean, it's no different. You know, say what you want to say about Elon Musk and the $1 million. That's about on par with us doing crawfish balls. Uh,
Uh uh
I mean, it's just a
he just
different
got a bigger
scale,
pot, huh?
right?
right. And
Yeah,
more crawfish,
right.
more sex to crawfish.
Right. No disrespect, but I also think that especially in terms of Beaumont, it's hard to get people to vote for someone that they in some way are not reflective of. I mean, again, I've been talking about this study about reflective leadership.
That's
Uh,
right.
uh, I don't care. I don't care. I mean, even if we ran Dr. King today, and I know that seems odd. If you ran Dr. King in Beaumont, you're not gonna get everybody coming out. I mean, just because of the disconnect.
Connect. That's right. That's right.
And that's why we aren't having the turnout. It is basically on that connection. Say what you want to. Uh, what Obama did was connect with that, at least that very base part of voters. I mean, him being a community organizer, he used that to his advantage because we've not been able to see any campaign I've seen on the national level really make the kind of impacts. I mean, and just now it's just kind of junk science out here,
Man,
you
I
know.
promise. I promise. That's the same thing that, that's the same thing along the same thing that we've had, uh, you know, in this current election. Miss Cat, you sleep on us? Miss Cat done nodded off on us.
No, she
Yeah.
didn't,
Yes, she is. Look, I promise.
Miss Cat.
Miss Cat out of there.
Only on the round table talk where you get.
Will you be able to know it all? I promise that. Look, it's comfort here, baby. It's straight comfort here, wrapped in the bosom of Jesus at the round table. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
She
So,
gave till she could. She gave out,
she
man.
couldn't, yeah, she gave till she couldn't give no more. And I love it. I love the dedication. You hear me? So we definitely we're gonna wrap up right here, but this is what we definitely wanted to address. What reasons do people give for not voting locally? Why does voting in local elections matter more than we think? And how can we realistically get people in Beaumont and our other local communities excited enough to actually vote? One of the things I will say is produce younger candidates, include individuals that are engaged thoroughly in their communities, not just a pocket in the
Right.
community. And I mean that in more ways than one. Find you a candidate that's not in a pocket.
Hmm.
Find you a candidate that's relatable, one that has nothing to hide, including who they get their money from. I mean, there's nothing to hide.
Right. Right.
Our enlightenment resources, of course, you can find any information here in the state of Texas about your voter registration, how to vote in person, how to vote by mail, voting with disabilities, and other frequently asked questions. You can go to votetexas.gov. Again, that's votetexas.gov. And this website is powered by the Secretary of State. And again,
Right.
you should be able to go to any website in your state and or county government. Pull up to some of your county um, courthouses and pick up a voter registration application, turn in your registration application right there on the spot, and be able to vote and express
Hmm.
yourself in your local elections. This for the city of Beaumont, our elections are May 3rd. We're asking everybody to make sure that your registration is current. If not, make sure that it 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 is edited and whatever by May 3rd. With that being said, I'm gonna wrap up. I love the fact that I'm hearing Miss Cat rest. I love it. I love
I'm
it.
telling you.
I love it.
I'm telling you.
Perry, if
Lord
you
help.
don't mind, give us a little something that will carry us out for the week. And then,
Yeah.
if Tony can hear us in the background, he can pop in and give
Yeah.
us something for the rest of the week.
Yeah. Uh, and I just want to leave with piggybacking on what you were just saying. Um, if we have never given
And I
time
mean,
to
she was
listen
asleep. I
to
love it.
if we've never given time to listen to our candidates, now is the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now is not the time to just base it on who I know, who I'm familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
who I think has whatever experience uh we ascribe to leadership. But what I will say in regards to
Tony,
in
can you put
regards
Miss
to
Miss Cat
someone who is
backstage?
youthful, it's not just being youthful. I think we also need people that have a vision, not someone who will tell us who will just check off the boxes, whether it's public safety, whether it's road improvements, or all of the things that are just common with local leadership.
Government, right,
Who
right.
has a vision for the not who has a vision for the city that is inclusive? Because there's some people right now who have a vision for the city, and that city they'll tell you is about the growth of Beaumont, and that growth of Beaumont is gonna come through downtown Beaumont. I
Mm.
just really I find that amazing that somehow downtown, a place that has lost that lost its economic strength decades ago.
Yeah.
How is it that we are seeing a revitalized downtown Beaumont as the key to improving Beaumont?
Hmm.
I've not gotten an answer even for those who are supportive of the project. This is
Wow.
a project. This is a project that has minimal job growth opportunity.
Hmm.
Very volatile. I mean, the restaurant and entertainment industry. I mean, and you stuck between uh, what is it, Kinder Louis? You stuck between New Orleans or Kinder, or Lake Charles and the casinos, and Houston and Kima and all that to the west of you. I mean, and if you just want to take that back road and go through Winnie, and hey, what is it? What is it that we're fighting for? What is it that we're saying is going to draw people to places who have long been in the industry? We're already talking about we have a depleted workforce. I mean, who are you? Who are you going to get for your waitress? Retired school
Yeah.
teachers?
Right, 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 right. Brother, you hitting. You hitting.
So I
You
mean, when
hitting.
I talk, yeah. So I mean, and so when we look at the leaders who are talking about the future of Beaumont, I want a leader who can make me see a Beaumont that I don't see right
Yeah. And one that's
now. That
secure.
will
One that
entice
that
people.
yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree, brother. I totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. And I would also like to add that we have to be transparent. And I'm not talking about here, look, let me show you. No, let's
Mm-hmm.
be real about it, right? Let's be 100% real about it, y'all. I mean, to a point
Mm-hmm.
to where when things are going awry and we don't want to cause or create public panic, we need to break down resources to individuals on how to combat or mitigate this issue. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that information, a lot of that don't correspond from our current elected or
Right.
representatives if they are appointed, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we're found in a position to where the 6 and 24% that does come out for for the city of Beaumont local elections and school board elections, that 6 to 24% is, I would say, a large majority of our seniors and elder population.
Exactly.
Most of those individuals that have an idea of the importance, as well as affiliated with some of the individuals that may run for office or may be appointed in some
Mm-hmm.
capacity, right? And so they, most of the seniors, if they can influence that candidate in their favor, majority of it being in their favor, that's who they're going to vote for, regardless to
Mm-hmm.
what future they can provide, regardless to what path we're going to have to trod as we go, whatever direction this now elected individual says this is the way we want to go. Mind you,
Mm-hmm.
the consensus has not been taken from the greater group of those that you are representing. So
Right.
there's a disconnect in the 6 to 24%, especially when we see that in numbers, most of those individuals are 40 and up.
Right.
And I will loosely say 40 because most of
Mm-hmm.
those individuals hardly come to the polls as well.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
we
And
have
that's
a
what I
lot of
say.
work to do.
Yeah. And that's what I say. You know, we say all politics are local. All voting is seasonal.
Yes, yes,
Pe- uh, uh, People have a season for voting, and I don't care how we may try to tug at heartstrings and point toward, rights and liberties and freedoms for them. Hit me in November, dude. I'm all with you.
right. In
And they will
November.
tell you to your face, man, I'm a vote. I'm
Yeah,
down for voting,
right.
you know. And that's what I say. I agree with you. I mean, it's looking at leadership who is willing to even do something as people may say, well, I didn't know Beaumont could even change the date of its election. That's within the powers of the city council.
Right. And the power of the voters because the council then has to
Yeah.
bring that
Be-
mandate to
Right.
us.
Right.
And we have to make it a mandate. Well, they would bring
Right.
that request to us and we would have to make it a mandate.
Right.
Anything that they would want to change in the charter has to be done by the voters.
Right.
So even with that, 6 to 24% can dictate to how our city is governed
Right.
for 66,400 plus people. Mind you, 5 years ago, it was 77,000 something
Right.
odd people registered to vote in Beaumont by itself. That's not Jefferson County. That's
Right.
in Beaumont by itself. So if now our numbers say 66,000 and we know all of those individuals did not meet their demise by COVID and or death alone, but most of
Mm-hmm.
those people did move. A lot of those
Right.
people did leave the city of Beaumont, whether they went to Port Arthur, whether they went to Nederland, Port Neches, Groves, Cheek, China, Nome, Lumberton, they left.
Mm-hmm.
And so the tax burden on the people of Beaumont is now spread between, let's say, 60, 70 something thousand people,
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody that's in the city of Beaumont is registered to vote. Although they are
Right.
eligible to vote, they're not
Right.
registered to vote.
Right.
And so even those individuals who choose not to come to the poll is actually playing into the hands of those that want to control 6 and 24% of the turnout.
Right.
There is a lot of people in our community who are not and have not voted locally. But just like you said, Perry, they vote nationally. They
Mm-hmm.
vote based on, party affiliation sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
primaries. They'll vote in those, but hardly show up to the local election, and
Mm-hmm.
most so when it comes to mayor, council, and school board.
Right.
Which, like
And
you
like I
said,
said,
and we all know,
I
this
think that
affects us right now. That government affects you but the moment the pen touches the paper, not signed or dried. The
yeah,
moment the pen touches the paper, that becomes in effect.
right. But like I say, I mean, I'm looking at the current ballot, and on that ballot,
Get it, Miss Cat.
you have at least four candidates, at least four candidates who have been on this ballot for at least 12 years or more.
Or more.
Yeah. And so what entices someone to come out for something that looks redundant? Whether I voted for it the first time, the second, or the third, I mean, it's kind of redundant. I keep coming here doing the same thing.
Same thing, and y'all giving me the same responses
Right,
that I heard under the last administration, or the
right,
administration before that, or the administration
right.
before that. And mind you, the
And,
administration
and now
before
the
that
only
was
thing you've done,
consistent.
is rearrange a few of the spots on the ballot, but it's still the same ballot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna wrap up. We had one more question or one more topic, but we'll definitely say that for next week. We got Miss Cat, Dr. Campbell,
Yeah,
who done tapped out at the
yeah,
table. I love it. I
yeah,
love the
yeah.
comfort at the
We got to
table.
ask her. We got to ask her what do you dream about when you're on the round table?
That might be the
What kind
topic
of
next
dreams
week.
come your way?
That's gonna be the topic next week. Watch. She gonna be like, I don't even know where this topic come from.
Say, man, who that is? Who that is laying out over there in the right corner?
Well, hey man, she got tipsy at the table, bro. Nah, just
Is she
kidding.
snoring?
Oh man, she getting it.
She did.
Boy, I
Man,
tell you,
she
She
just
getting it.
stopped at the middle. She at least stopped at the middle of the sentence because
I didn't see.
once she
didn't-
had her say, she was out.
I didn't see
Yeah.
it all. I didn't see it
Yeah,
all.
man. That's what you call comfort at the table, brother. Period. And then Tony, if you will give us our closeout for the week, and then I'll come back and give my little statement. Give us something good for the week, y'all. Here, go ahead.
There's nothing that we can't do. That's what I want to tell us. There's nothing that we can't do.
Man, you're right. All things are possible
Yeah.
with God.
Absolutely.
Listen, I'm gonna sleep. Rock the bye, baby. Rock the bye, baby. I ain't never known nobody fall asleep on a podcast.
Hey man, you must not be watching Roland Martin. Roland be having his panel on there, bro. They be gnawing, brother. I promise, just like that. They be just like that. I will.
But guys, I'm gonna be y'all be good, man, and we're gonna close out and
If you have any
I wish y'all
local
see you guys
voting,
next Tuesday. You guys next Tuesday. And please catch my show on Sundays at 7:00. Other than that, y'all have a great day.
hey, I
Alrighty.